What's up, y'all? How you doing today? I'm doing spectacular. So we got some good news, some bad news, and some world news. Actually, not world news, country news. If you've noticed in the past few months, they have actually really been longer than that. It's really been years, but they've been really pushing it though the past couple of months. It went from white supremacy to, um, whites are hating on blacks to whites are hating on Asians to whites are hating on brown people. Whites are just hating on everybody. And they always come up with the reason. Now the reason is I can't say the country name, but it's something flu. It's not South African flu, which I'm allowed to say. It's not England flu, which I'm allowed to say. It has something to do with what Trump said at one time. But we're not allowed to say it because if we say that, they will delete the videos. But they've set up the perfect storm because they put it in these people's minds that you hate them. You hate them. The truth is this: racism doesn't exist on a systemic or on a scale at all, really, especially on a systemic scale, how they want you to believe. They want you to believe that cops hate black people. Well, if you look at the facts, if anybody's hated by black people, it's white people. It's not just because, even when you take in even when you consider the percentage of population, so we know that blacks take up about 14 to 17% of the population. Whites are less than 40% now, and then the rest is other, Mexican, Asian, yada, yada, yada. White people are far more likely to have all the shit happen to them that all these other groups complain about happening to them. The truth is that cops hate anybody that ain't a cop. That's simple. When it comes to racism, other than that, is there Klan members out here burning down homes, burning crosses in people's homes? That shit just don't happen. There might be the guy that commits a racist act. So let's talk about how we got to this point. We got to this point because they changed the definition of the word to suit their agenda. Racism, for example. Go back and look at a Webster's dictionary in the early 90s. I forget the exact wording for it, but basically racism was when one's action negatively affects or harms another person's life. It has to affect you in a negative way or harm you in a negative way, or your life or property based solely on your race. So, black guy gets fired from a job because he's doing a shitty job. That's not racism. He got fired because he does a shitty job, not because he's black. Although he may scream it was because he's black. Now, what's really funny about all this is that, well, hold on, let me get back to that. I'll get to that in a second. But they've conditioned the population to believe that this is like some real shit. Like there's really, I talked to somebody the other day in one of my threads. You can go back and look at it a couple of videos ago, and they said that I'm a Democrat because I'm a one-issue voter. Well, what's that issue? Racism. I was like, so what? You ain't voting? Ain't no damn racism. Fuck out of here. If there is wait, time out. I misspoke. There is racism, but it's not in the way that you think. White people are going around hating on black people or burning their houses down. White people are not hiring black people just because they're black. On the other hand, if you're a white, it is not only encouraged, but it is legal that everybody is against you solely because you're white, which is racism, the real definition of racism. So you go to get a job, you apply for it, you're white, affirmative action, they're going to hire the black guy first. That's the way it is. Christy, as you know, my wife has worked at her job for 4 years and managed this hotel. When I say manage, I guess she manages the hotel, but that's really not her position. So the last 4 general managers that's been there in 4 years, yes, since she's been there, she has trained. So they hire somebody for a general manager's position that makes $75,000, $80,000 a year. My wife, who makes way less than that, way less than that, like less than probably a quarter of that. And I'm not being funny. She could literally go to McDonald's and probably make more money. Seriously. Definitely White Castle, maybe McDonald's. But anyway, my wife trained them. My wife put in for that position every time that position came up, but my wife wasn't qualified to do it. Now, every time they hired somebody, it was either a black woman, black male. The first one was a white woman, though. So, other than that one white woman, that position has been filled 3 times with people who are unqualified that my wife then had to train. They sent them to my wife to train. Like, hey, train this lady to do the general manager's position. Well, I was like, wait a second, I ain't getting paid to do this. So I told her not to do it, but she did it anyway because she's a hard worker. And she cared about the company. So the new general manager comes up, which is black dude, completely lazy. Dude's like 100% lazy. My wife has to do his job in order to be able to do her job. This dude is selling dope. That's like a 350-room hotel. He's selling dope in the hotel, letting his dope fiend customers stay at the hotel for free, doing all this crazy shit. My wife asked him, why did you come to Wood Springs? He said, because they're a black-owned company that, I forget how she worded, encourages black employment. Well, I've been saying long ago they hate white people. My wife was literally, other than two other white women, so the first white woman and the general manager, then one other housekeeper. In 4 years, my wife has never worked with another white person. Until recently, there was a guy there that was also white. And, so the housekeepers, their job is from 7 to 3, whatever it is. They're supposed to leave at 4. That's what it is, 8 to 4. But they leave every day at like 11. So then my wife has to get to work at 3, go back through all the rooms to clean everything that they didn't do. She says she at least spends a half an hour in each room every day. And that's what she spends her whole shift doing when she's supposed to be doing other things. She was fired, my wife. Their reason is because she left her station when it was her time to leave. So she was scheduled from 7 to 3 that day. 3:10 came around, I know, because I was out in the parking lot waiting on her. The person who never shows up on time didn't show up on time, so she shut the gate and put the phone there and left. Time up. I mean, I would have done the same thing. So that's why they fired her. But really, they fired her. They've been trying to get rid of her. She got wrote up a few weeks ago for something that happened 4 months ago. And it was complete bullshit. But it was made so long ago, there was no way to prove that she didn't do it. I forget what it was exactly, but it was something retarded. And I've been saying it for 3 years. They hate white people. And they do. And you're going to see more of this. You're going to see more people that are white getting fired from their jobs, not getting jobs, and being discriminated against for real. Not only discriminated against, but there might be some racism tied into it, because if you are discriminated against in the sense that you can't get a job to feed your family solely based on your race, that is racism, because it affects your life in a negative manner. Now, do people have the right to do that? If you own a business, do you have the right to not hire somebody because they're white, black, purple, green, whatever? In my opinion, this is only my opinion, guys, because I default to freedom. Here's how I look at it. If you start a business, you pay for that business 100%. You can hire whoever the hell you want. I don't care. But if you're one of these large corporations like Wood Springs, for example, who has somewhere along the way taken government funds, then no, you cannot not hire someone because they are of a certain race. Why? Because everybody has put their money into the pool to make your business exist, just like airports, the airlines. But here's what you're going to see besides all that. You're going to see all these places that are no longer going to be hiring white people. I mean, they've already been giving out loans to minorities. So it's like racism is, as long as you're white, as long as they're hating on white, or the white man ain't benefiting, it's okay to be racist. They push it, they encourage it, they legalized it. And now, because you're white, you're a domestic terrorist. Why? I'll probably be labeled a domestic terrorist for making this video. Oh, why? Because you automatically hate people of color. POC, whatever that means. Now, personally, here's how I look at that. You are either an individual of the many states, or you're not. If you're an African American, then what you should do is you should pack your bags up. We'll get you on a plane and get you back to Africa. If you are somebody that doesn't like the way things are here, if you think that you have the right to tell somebody that they cannot have a firearm, here's what we'll do. We'll get you on a little plane. We'll get you on the first thing smoking over to China, because that's what you really want. Now, you're going to say, no, it's not. I don't want that. Yes, it is. Because when you think that you have the right to dictate what somebody else can or cannot have if they're not harming anybody, well, you're a piece of shit, and that's what you want. So get your shit packed. We'll do a fundraiser. We'll get you on the first thing smoking. Promise we will. Whether it be a boat, a plane, shit. If you want to swim there, we will find a way. I promise to God. We might even float you across on a fucking big rubber duck raft. Who knows? But we will get you there. I promise you. And it's way easier and better for everybody, me, you, them, everybody, if we do it that way. There's no sense in you trying to make my life miserable or Joe Blow's life miserable because you want to be a dick. What's really funny about it all, though, is that none of them who have this ideology, for example, the person that thinks the borders should be open because borders are racist, right? That person has doors on their home. And every time I challenge them, I'm like, all right, you know what? If you are that dead set on it and I am wrong, please take the doors off your home, put an invite all sign out in your front yard, leave your check on the counter every Friday, and prove that, We should have open borders. There should be no borders. They come back with some excuse like, well, that's private property, blah, 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 blah. Well, what do you think the United States is? The states are owned by the people. It's private property too. The people own it. And by having open borders, you see what's happening. We're now having 800 people a week or whatever it is flood over the border, jump over the border. A bunch of kids that don't have parents with them and shit. Now they're placing them in, their sponsorships, homes, and we're funneling a bunch of federal money to them and that. And we're having all kinds of trouble down there. It's only going to continue to get worse. And you see the problem with illegal immigration is, number one, they're jumping line. I have no problem with immigrants. Dude, rock on. Dude, fucking Mexicans, them motherfuckers will work. I don't care what anybody says. They will bust their balls. And more power to them. I want to better my life too, but there's a way to do it. You don't jump line, because here's what you're doing when you jump line. You are committing a criminal act. In the Constitution laid out and said that Congress must create laws for naturalization. If you jump the border, you are then violating the law. What we should do is make it a death penalty, in all honesty. Make it the death penalty for people being here illegally. I guarantee you the shit will stop real quick. Then again, the states aren't doing nothing because the federal government told them not to, and if they do, they will stop getting funnel money, which is it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a racket. In the end game is this. The end game is to fucking oppress you so badly and to bring you down. Not to raise everybody up to your level, because that's what they're pretending to do by all these minimum wage hikes and Black Lives Matter and all this bullshit. It's not about bringing anybody up, because you can't bring people up that don't want to be brought up. It's like trying to get somebody that's shooting heroin to quit shooting heroin. They're not just going to quit shooting heroin because you want them to. They're going to have to want to. But they're not bringing them up. What they're doing is bringing you down. It's destroying the middle class. The middle class is mostly white. There are some blacks, Latinos, Asians, and that. Yes, there is. But the main goal is to bring everybody down. Because when they bring everybody down to the same level, then the few at the top can benefit the most. It's a scam. All of it. But what I find the funniest about it, and I've already mentioned this and talked about it, is that what's really happening is racism against white people is encouraged, promoted, legalized. And that's okay. So when somebody tells you that they are, fighting for racial equality, then it's cool. Let's march against affirmative action, right? My neighbors ain't liking me. They're standing right out here looking at me, but I don't give two fucks. Jizz. I'm trying not to cuss no more. But anyway, guys, that's the story of the day. Wish me and Christy luck. We will figure it out. It always works itself out if you want it to work itself out. And I got to go work on cars now because I'm cheap and I won't buy new shit. Have a good day.